On this planet, there are many different icons of conservation. These are animals that have famously been threatened with extinction, but through protection and captive breeding have been given a second chance. Giant pandas have become such an icon that they're the logo of the WWF. And of course, everyone is aware of the peril that rhinos are in. But as well as these icons, there are plenty of animals that are in danger that no one seems to know about. Because of the type of videos I do on this channel, I'm sure a lot of you watching will be able to identify the creatures I go through in this video, but I have tried to pick some more obscure creatures, as I'll be going through 5 endangered species that you might not have heard of. And for our first species, we'll be heading to the tropical rainforests of New Guinea and northeastern Australia, as we have the tree-kangaroos. Australia is of course famous for its wildlife, and when most people think of Australian wildlife, they think of kangaroos. But as well as the ground-dwelling species, there are also arboreal relatives. Although these creatures are relatively unknown, there are actually 14 species. These different species come in many different colours, but have the same general body shape. Because of their preferred habitat, they can also be quite hard to find. This was especially the case with the golden-mantled tree-kangaroo, as it was only discovered in 1990. These marsupials prefer a diet of fruits, but when times are hard they are also unfussy, and will eat various nuts as well as sap and tree bark. Because of their arboreal lifestyle and their size, they only have a few natural predators. They are sometimes targeted by large snakes, and also by large birds of prey. These predators are of course not their biggest threats, as humans have had a massive negative impact on their numbers. Many of the tree-kangaroo species are vulnerable or endangered, with one of the main factors being deforestation. Many of their habitats are being replaced with logging and timber production, and in New Guinea many forests have been replaced with agricultural land to grow crops such as coffee, rice and wheat. The lack of trees makes these mammals more exposed to other predators, such as feral and domesticated dogs. Research conducted on one species of tree-kangaroo showed that out of 27 deaths, 11 had been killed by vehicles, 6 by dogs, and 4 by parasites. The 6 remaining were unidentified causes, and this just shows how much of an effect we are having on their lives. Just like with all the other species that are going to be on this list, I'll leave donation links in the description below if possible, and hopefully with your help we'll get to see more wild tree-kangaroos in the future. But for our next species, we'll be heading all the way over to the forest floors of Madagascar, as we have the Lowland Tenrec. Now at first glance it can be very hard to identify this creature.
It looks like a bird.
Its head looks quite shrew-like, yet the spikes along its body make it look like a hedgehog. In fact, it belongs to the family Tenrecidae, and this is a family of small mammals that are endemic to Madagascar. Tenrecs are widely diverse, and as a result of convergent evolution, they can resemble other mammals in different ecosystems. These mammals tend to dwell on the forest floor, where they hunt for food amongst the undergrowth. This food primarily comes in the form of earthworms, but of course it will also take other invertebrates. As this species only reaches a maximum size of around 17 centimeters long, it can be a target for other predators in the area, such as the famous Vusa. Because of this, it's had to come up with a few defenses, with one of them being its coloration. The black and yellow on its body is a form of aposematic coloration, and this coloration is to warn predators that they may be poisonous or dangerous. Although this tenrec is not poisonous, their spines can be very painful. They are known to thrust these quills towards potential predators, and each of these quills is barbed and detachable. But this tenrec doesn't just use these quills for defense, as they're also used for communication. They rub them together to make a low-pitched sound, and it is thought to be used for communication between mother and young, and is also thought to be used as a warning signal to predators. Although this species is currently listed as least concerned by IUCN, this may not be accurate. Because of the state of the country's political crisis, there have been waves of violent unrest and environmental crime. This has meant that many of the animals there are suffering, including the 101 species of lemur. This has led to many Malagasy people hunting the native wildlife, and all of these animals aren't helped by Madagascar's slash and burn agriculture. This is where certain parts of forest and woodland are cut down and burned to create new fields for crops. So if nothing is done soon, we may lose this very unique tenrec. But for our next species, we'll be heading to the forests of South and Southeast Asia, as we have the Binturong. Now this species also goes by the name of bearcat, yet it's not closely related to either of them. They almost look like a Southeast Asian version of a wolverine, yet again they are not closely related to them. In fact, the Binturong is in the same family as civets and genets, yet it does look quite different to its family members. Although this species is relatively unknown in the West, it is very well known in Asia. This is because it has quite a wide distribution, yet today it's becoming increasingly rare. This species is arboreal, and although it may look like the wolverine, it does have a very different diet. It enjoys a diet mostly made up of fruits, but is also an opportunistic feeder and will target birds, insects, and small rodents. These bear cats play an important role in the ecosystem, as it's a very good seed disperser. This is especially the case for the strangler fig trees, as the Binturongs like them so much that they are one of their main dispersers. One of the stranger facts about this creature is that it has the smell of buttered popcorn. Although this may seem very strange, this scent serves a purpose, as it's a good way to communicate with other Binturongs, and it can also work to discourage would-be predators. As well as using smell as communication, they also make a wide range of sounds. These can range from snorts to howls, and each of these noises has a different meaning. Unfortunately today, this species is listed as vulnerable. It's estimated that their population has declined around 30% since the mid-1980s, and of course all the reasons are human related. They are victims of habitat loss and degradation, and are also a victim to the snaring crisis in Southeast Asia. They are also poached because of their fur, and also because they're considered a delicacy in some countries. They are often captured for the wildlife trade, and are often illegally sold as pets. This is such a disgusting way to treat such an interesting animal, and hopefully we'll get to see more in the future. But for our next species, we'll be heading to the tropical forests of Central America, as we have the Honduran White Bat. Despite its name, it can also be found in Costa Rica, Panama, and Nicaragua, and this bat prefers wet evergreen forests. It's safe to say that most bats aren't exactly lookers. They can sometimes be very ugly, and some are known to haunt people in their nightmares. The Honduran White Bat, on the other hand, is one of the cutest bats in the world, not just because of their yellow noses, ears, and light fur, but also because of their behaviour. In some areas, they are also known as the Caribbean white tent-making bat, and this is because they have the tendency of making tents out of understory plant leaves. They do this by carefully cutting leaf ribs with their teeth, and then using this leaf as a tent. They often congregate in groups during the day, and then come out to feed when it starts to get dark. These bats are primarily fruit eaters, and feed almost exclusively on the fruits of one species of fig. Unfortunately, being cute doesn't help you out in the forests of Central America. Today they are listed as near threatened, as there's been a significant decline in the last few decades. One of its main problems is the expanding human population in its area, which has led to its habitat being converted into farmland. This not only means that they have less habitat to thrive in, but also means that their main food source disappears. As they are almost solely reliant on one species of fig, it means that if it disappears, they also disappear. This means that not only this bat needs protecting, but so does its main source of food. But I think that it's very safe to say that even though they're endangered, they're still one of the cutest bats in the world. But for our final species, we'll be heading south to the wet forests of Colombia and Ecuador, as we have the long-wattled Umbrellabird. This bird does look rather strange. The males sport a crest of fine feathers that hang all the way over its bill. This gives it the look of having an umbrella, which is how they got their name. This species also has an inflatable wattle dangling from the middle of its chest, which is covered in short scaly feathers. When inflated, it looks somewhat like a pine cone, and the males inflate these when they're trying to attract females. These birds are often found in very beautiful habitats, mainly on the cloud forests on the sides of the Andes. In these areas, they mostly feed on fruits, but are also known to take small invertebrates. In the air, they are rather clumsy, and instead they prefer to hop from branch to branch within the tree canopy. Unfortunately today, this species is listed as vulnerable, as it's thought that there are around 6,000 to 15,000 individuals in the wild. This bird's populations were never massive, but they have been declining in recent years. Of course, their main threats are deforestation, but they are also susceptible to hunting. Luckily, more recently, this species has been getting more attention, and hopefully their situation will improve. If you know of any other species that can make it on this list, then let me know down in the comments below. But thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. But until next time, goodbye.